What if gym leaders could use Pokemon from the full Pokedex? That is a video that I made a few weeks ago, and it became extremely popular. I only did Kanto and I was already planning on doing the other regions. And we're gonna do that now. Okay, we're gonna start off with Falkner. Falkner's team is really boring from the beginning. Pidgey and Pidgeotto, what do you mean? We're comparing with the Heart Gold and Soul Silver teams, but there is like no difference between the first teams and the Heart Gold, Soul Silver teams. But there is like small differences. But his team really sucks, and for some reason he does not have Hoothoot, so the first Pokemon we add on his team is Hoothoot. He should have had a Hoothoot. Why did he not have a Hoothoot? Who thought it was a good idea to not give him Hoothoot? It is a bird that I feel fits him okay, and it is a beginning Pokemon from there, and I thought because he didn't have it in the original, I want him to have one here. Other than that, I wasn't really sure what to add. He's supposed to have two Pokemons since he has two Pokemons on his other team, and I read a little bit about him, and most of the time, I just saw that his father was mentioned. So, I added Bombardier to his team, because he seems to have a little bit of problems with his father, just like me. He doesn't have clear problems with his father, but he really wants to be like his father and is inspired by his father. And what I read about him was just his father was great and he's trying to be like him. And Bombardier is the stork Pokemon, so perfect as a parent. It also says that his father gave him his Pokemons, so Bombardier could have been the Pokemon that gave Falkner to them. Of course. What a great father, gives a Pokemon that drops rocks on him. But to summarize it, Falkner has Hoothoot and Bombardier as his team. Next one is Bugsy, of course. Bugsy's team is Scyther, Metapod, and Kakuna. This team feels pretty boring and pretty ass. His first member is Shedinja. Bugsy is obviously very interested in bugs and research a lot about them, and I think he would like to research about Shedinja, because it's a bug type that they don't know a lot about in the Pokemon world, and has some very interesting origin. And I think Bugsy would be really interested in learning more about it. Shedinja is also just a very interesting Pokemon. And like I said, Bugsy's original team is so boring, so he needs some more interesting Pokemons. The next Pokemon is Cricketune, and that is because it learns Fury Cutter. It does say that Bugsy is the one who discovered the move Fury Cutter, so I felt like it was very fitting if he had a Pokemon that learns it, just like Scyther. And I feel like Cricketune works pretty well because it is sort of this lame Pokemon, but not really. Early routes, type of bug vibe. And because he has two of those in his original team, I feel like Cricketune works very well to replace them. His final Pokemon is actually between two, but it's not between two, it's depending on the version, and I'm not gonna decide depending on the version, it's just depending on the version, you will battle one or the other. It is Excelgor and Escavalier. A big part about Bugsy is that he wants to prove that bug types are strong and really tough. And I feel like Excelgor and Escavalier works pretty well for this. Excelgor is really fast and will outspeed almost any Pokemon, especially on that level. And it has a lot of special attacks, so it will have a lot of strong hits as well. While Escavalier is slower, but is really defensive and really strong, which works as well. I think they're both Pokemons that he would have, and I feel like it makes a lot of sense. I think Bugsy would use these Pokemon in a great way to prove that they are really strong as bug types. So his team is Shedinja, Cricketune, and Excelgor or Escavalier. Next up, we have the menace herself, Whitney. Whitney's team is of course Clefairy and Miltank. She loves cute normal types, and I felt like Skitty works really well for that. I was thinking of replacing Clefairy with a fairy type, but she is still a normal type trainer, so Skitty works here really well. Whitney's next Pokemon that is supposed to replace Miltank is going to be Beware. I feel like that works so well. Whitney is really emotional and also a little crazy, and I feel like Beware matches that really well. Also feels like a Pokemon that would be really tough, really strong, and really annoying to battle, and would replace Miltank in a great way. And it's also pretty cute, which makes sense for Whitney as well. She would love that big teddy bear. Just be careful from the hugs. So Whitney's team is Skitty and Beware. Next up, we have Morty. And here is where we see more of this shit. Why do you have two Haunters, one Ghastly and one Gengar? I know there was only Mischievous as the other ghost type, but why not have Mischievous? Could have replaced one of the Haunters with Mischievous. He has 4 Pokemon, so we're of course gonna make his team have 4 Pokemons. The first Pokemon Morty will get is Greavard. This one is a little bad. I just feel like it would fit him having a dead, kind of sad dog, you know? And I could really see him having a dog by his side. The next Pokemon is Duskull. The things that it said about Morty is that he has connection to this like ghostly vibe, the mythical foresight type of vibe like that. And Duskull, of course, has clear vibes and references from the Grim Reaper, who can tell when someone is about to die, basically seeing into the future. And I think that would fit Morty pretty well. Not saying he would actually like go and look when people are going to die. The next Pokemon is going to be Golurk. This is because Morty is known as being calm and being like this kind of chill guy, but also be able to use these ghost types and being able to use their ghostly powers. So, because of how Golurk works, he's very calm when he has this thing on him, which I don't know what it's exactly called, but the thing that is a seal for Golurk's ghost powers. And when Golurk releases that, he stops being calm and goes crazy. But before that, Golurk is very calm and pretty chill. And I feel like Morty could work with that. I also feel Golurk kinda just matches him. I don't know why, I just feel like they work together. Then we have the final Pokemon, which is Mismagius, of course, since he did not have a Misdreavus. He should have had a Misdreavus, but he did not. So we're giving him Mismagius here. But that's not the only reason. Mismagius is known for its illusion, hallucination, and its ability to influence reality and tap into the mythical foresight powers, which Morty is known to control and sort of be related to, like I said earlier. And I feel like that would work pretty well. I also feel like the colors work pretty well. Morty's scarf does kind of look like Mismagius's sort of like arm, hands sort of thing. They're a little bit similar in that way. So Morty's team is Greavard, Duskull, Golurk, and Mismagius. I feel like this is a really good team and a pretty interesting team that I would like to fight. Then we have Shock, who only has 2 Pokemons, which is Primeape and Poliwrath. And they match him really well. I think it's really weird that they didn't have any fighting types from Gen 2, and that he only had 2 Pokemons. So I'm going to give him 3 Pokemons, because I feel like he should have another one. I do understand that it could have been for strength reasons, but I feel like the 3 I have chosen works pretty well, even though they're quite strong. First off, we have Hitmontop. He should have had one. It's another one where I say he should have had one, but I also feel like it matches him in some ways. But justice for Hitmontop, of course. Then we get to the second Pokemon, which is Crabominable. Crabominable works really well. It's a big chill guy that does match. And Shock is known to sit under waterfalls to focus and to train. And I feel like Crabominable could be his friend there sitting next to him. But the final Pokemon is going to be Conkeldurr. Just look at them, it's like they're meant for each other. Conkeldurr, he is holding 2 big things that he carries, just like Shock is doing. They would definitely train a lot and give each other the different things that they're holding to trying to train with them. Shock is known to fight with his Pokemon, so I think he would fight all of these and in interesting ways. That's also why I feel Hitmontop works pretty well. It has a little bit of a different fighting style than Crabominable and Conkeldurr. They're 2 heavy hitters, while Hitmontop is a little bit more moving, dancing type of guy. And Crabominable and Conkeldurr just works really well. I just think they're perfect for him. If you watched it far, please feel free to subscribe and like the video. Also join my Discord server and check out my Twitch. I do stream quite a lot. And if you feel like it, leave a comment on what you think of the teams so far. I hope you guys also like this sort of new way of me standing and just being here, you know? I'm probably gonna do this in some videos. But let me know if you hate it. Okay, then we have Jasmine. Jasmine's team is 2 Magnemites and a Steelix. What a lame team. I'm giving her 4 Pokemons. At this point, everyone should have 4 Pokemons or more. Her first Pokemon is going to be Lairon. Lairon is really defensive and works really well. She's known to be a trainer that relies on defense, which the rest of her team isn't really gonna rely on. So we have Lairon here. But I can also see them just vibe. I felt like Aggron would have been a little bit too strong compared to the rest of her team, even though the rest of her team isn't super strong. So we're going with Lairon. And I still think it works really well. The next Pokemon is Togedemaru. Togedemaru is both cute and an electric type, which can reference Magnemite and Ampharos. I do feel like Togedemaru matches her as well in a lot of ways, and I feel like they have a little bit of a similar vibe. Then we have Alolan, Dug trio. This is really funny because I looked at Alolan Dug trio and said, oh, they're both blonde. She isn't blonde though. And I was like, they're both blonde, so we could add them to her team. I was wrong when I said that, but I thought it was kind of funny. So Alolan Dug trio will be on her team. But I do also feel like it's a Pokemon she could have. Like I usually say, they have a similar vibe. When I started saying vibe, it was not intended, but now it's kind of on purpose because of my name, you know. But her next Pokemon is Tinkaton. Obviously, Tinkaton matches her well, and I could really see Jasmine holding that hammer as well. Tinkaton is this really tough, girly Pokemon, which is so cool, and it just works with Jasmine. I would love to see some cool art with them. If you're gonna draw it, you can show it in the Discord server by joining in the bio. But that's our team: Lairon, Togedemaru, Alolan Dug trio, and Tinkaton. I was pretty proud of the Tinkaton one. Next up, we have Price. His team is Seal, Dugong, and Piloswine. Again, only 3 Pokemons. This guy should have 5 at this point. So we're giving him 5 Pokemons. The first Pokemon is Alolan Sandshrew. This was mostly because I thought it would fit him, and also he needed a little bit of a weaker Pokemon. It could be his cute little friend that just hangs around him. But okay, his next Pokemon is Abomasnow. I feel like Abomasnow works really well. I just feel like Abomasnow matches him. Abomasnow does look kinda old, and the rest of the Pokemons are going to have the theme of being old, just like this one. Because Price is known to have old Pokemons that have been with him for a really long time. And Abomasnow works really well with that theme. The next one is Galarian Darmanitan. When I decided this, I did not realize that I gave the 2 old men that are on the 7th gym the different forms of Darmanitan. I think that was kind of funny, and I feel like they both work with the old man. But Darmanitan does look smart, and he does look a little old. And Price is supposed to be smart, and he's old, so it works. Price does also meditate under waterfall, just like Shock. And I feel like Galarian Darmanitan could do that with him as well. I feel like all of the Pokemons could do that, but I feel like Darmanitan could sit with him, next to him, you know? The next Pokemon is Hisuian Avalugg. Yes, we have 3 different forms in this team, but Hisuian Avalugg works really well. Because his Pokemon are supposed to be old, and this could be a Pokemon that has been passed down through generations. It could be the only Hisuian Avalugg left. Don't quote me on that, because I might give it to another Ice-type specialist in the future. Or a Rock-type specialist. But Hisuian Avalugg does also look old, and they have a little bit of a similar vibe in my opinion. And his final Pokemon is Walrein. Walrein also looks old, and it's also water type, and Dugong and Seal are both water types. Seal is only water type, so why did they give him to him? I don't know. But that gives a little bit of reference to that, and they're a little bit similar type of animals. I also feel like Walrein and Price fit very well together, because they do have a little bit of a similar vibe. So, Price's team is Alolan Sandshrew, Abomasnow, Galarian Darmanitan, Hisuian Avalugg, and Walrein. Then we have the final gym leader. Of course, we have Claire. Claire has 2 Dragonairs, a Gyarados, and of course, Kingdra. But looking at these teams, wow, how did they do this? This is also the only team that actually changes Pokemon. And in her original team, she has 3 Dragonairs. Why? Could have just given her the entire line. Dratini, Dragonair, and Dragonite. And then have Kingdra as well. But no, you give her 3. And then in the Heart Gold, Soul Silver version, you just replace one of them with a non-dragon type? Yeah, no, I really don't get it. But her new team is going to have, of course, 6 Pokemons. The final gym leader always needs 6 Pokemons. And the first member is going to be Draudigon. Specifically a shiny. She caught one in the anime, in the black and white anime. So I feel like we should add it onto her team here. The next one is going to be Hakumo. Hakumo is fighting, and that is good against ice. And ice is of course super effective against dragon. So we need a little bit of coverage there. The next one is Artibax for same reason, but Artibax is ice type and is of course good against dragon types. For some reason ice does not resist dragon, which is really stupid. That's why ice is so bad. But it's still super effective against dragon types. I also feel like Artibax is a good Pokemon because it's ice type as well, and we just had an ice gym. so why not have a little bit of a reference from that. The next Pokemon is Altaria. In my opinion, they both look like they match. Altaria does also look really kind, and I feel like we need a kind looking dragon on this team. Claire is pretty nice, at least in the anime, so I feel like they could work really well, and she could ride on Altaria. Flying around, you know. The next one is another dragon flying as well. We have Noivern. Here it was just, I feel like they kinda match and have a similar vibe. I feel like it's a dragon that she could have, and a dragon that is really strong and nice. I could really see them battle together in a battle, but her final Pokemon is Dragapult. I looked at them and they have so much in common in color scheme, and I just feel like it's the perfect dragon for her. I was first thinking of Salamence, but I decided Dragapult works way better. They both look really tough and are really tough, and have similar colors, similar vibes, and I feel like they match really well. I could also see her taking care of these tiny Dreepy, and she really should have a pseudo-legendary as her final Pokemon, especially with all of the pseudo-legendary dragon types. And I feel like Dragapult just works incredibly well. Also interesting to bring back the ghost type. But that is Claire's team. We have Draudigon, Hakumo, Artabax, Altaria, Noivern, and of course Dragapult. A little bit of a honorable mention is Janine. She obviously becomes a new gym leader in Gen 2 games, but in Kanto of course. She's basically gonna have the same team that I gave Koga, but we're also going to add Salazzle. I feel like Salazzle fits her well and fits the ninja style. That is all of the Johto gym leaders and their new teams if they had access to every Pokemon. Let me know in the comments what you thought about all of this, if you agree, and what teams you would have made for them. I will make more of these for every single region and Elite Four and Champions. So you could already give suggestions for that if you want to. Thank you guys for watching, I hope you'll enjoy this video. You should be able to watch the Kanto video right here, and a video right here talking about why Pokemon Champions were better than a lot of people said. But other than that, please subscribe and like the video, and I'll see you guys next one. So have a great rest of your night, day, morning, or wherever. Peace out, and don't forget to follow.